Can Warner's DC studio rise from the ashes with Superman analysis? Badger, if you would.
I'll do it quick. When Superman flies,
Gonzalez. Umberto.
When Superman flies into theaters on July 11th, it won't just be another superhero movie. It will be 69. A high-stakes gamble for the future of the entire DC cinematic universe. At the center of all is James Gunn. Now, not only the film's writer and director, but also co-CEO of DC Studios, a longtime producer, Peter Safran. The duo was handpicked by Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who after years of inconsistent leadership and failing attempts to rival Marvel, has placed his hopes on a bold 10-year plan to rebuild the DC brand with $225 million in budget and a critical need to cross the 700 million global box office mark. Superman is more than just a reboot. It is a litmus test for whether today's audiences, especially Gen Z, can connect with a thoroughly modernized version of the iconic hero. For Zaslav, burdened with $37 billion in debt from the 2022 merger, the stakes couldn't be higher. He's banking on beloved IP from Superman to Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings to revitalize the Warner Brothers empire. The path to this moment has been anything but smooth. The previous DC regime stumbled through a series of misfires, from the divisive Snyder-era films to the commercial disappointments of Justice League and The Flash. Even a standalone Superman film starring Henry Cavill almost happened under a different leadership, Michael Bay, who reportedly was eyed to direct before Gunn and Safran took over and reshaped the vision entirely. Now, with a younger cast led by David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult, Superman is the flagship of a completely restructured DC Studios, siloed off from the main Warner Brothers group and modeled after Marvel's more focused approach. Early signs are promising. The trailer shattered DC records with over 250 million views, but whether that excitement translates into box office success remains to be seen. Industry insiders are optimistic, yet all eyes are on July. If Superman soars, it could mark a true renaissance for DC. If it stumbles, the grand plan might unravel before it even begins.
Okay, what are your thoughts, everyone? I mean, it's basically not saying much new, but everything is banking on this movie. And what if it fails? Will the studio be shut down? Will Gunn be gone? Indications are it'll have a good first weekend, but what is the level it needs to reach where Gunn can breathe a sigh of relief, go to Comic-Con and do a victory lap?
750 million minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got to do it. That's what the first Guardians basically did.
What did Man of Steel do?
If you account for inflation in the 900 millions, as it was the high six somethings, almost seven.
I think it's got to outdo
25.
But here's the kicker. The budget for Man of Steel is reported is 225 million. And the budget 13 years later for this fucking movie is reported as 225 million.
Yeah, no way. There's
no
no way.
Make it make sense to me
at all.
Yeah. That's why I tend to believe that tax credit from the
360.
Well, it needs to score at the box office. It doesn't need to make money.
Look, man, Warner Brothers just had a really good year. They've had a very good year. Minecraft might hit $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing
Final
good.
Destination Bloodlines is crushing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think
and
Superman,
so is Sinners.
So Superman doesn't have to do like super great, no pun intended. Like it could do good, right? Because they've had a great year, right? But Harry Potter has to do fucking phenomenal. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers also
with all the money that they're investing, yes, it does have to be.
They're spending like $1 billion building a small town and sets and schools for like the 10 years that the it's essentially a company town of old times.
It has to do well.
Also, don't forget Minecraft is a Warner Brothers movie as well.
That's why. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What Minecraft was.
You have in consecutive months: Minecraft, Sinners, Bloodlines, and then they've got Superman in July, and they have Weapons in August, which is Zach Cregger's follow-up to Barbarian.
All that debt, and their video game industries were horrible with Suicide Squad and Multiverses and hundreds of $1 million in losses, and Joker too. So it's like they're just now starting to see sunlight with Sinners and all the things.
Well, I just think Superman, they might have a little leeway with Superman, just a little bit, but
but it has to be good because they're building.
Harry Potter has to do well.
They're building a full universe with both of those.
When it comes to DC,
they
do have a tendency to like freak out, you know.
Yes.
And we saw that with all the Snyder movies and how they had to rework all of that and rewrite
course
it,
correct, and lead to a bunch of movies.
Yeah, they do have a tendency to freak out. So, if this movie doesn't do well, we could possibly see them like scrambling as well.
But here's the thing: it's going to do well. The question is, how well is it going to do? Right? Like we all know it's going to do pretty well. I think we know that. I think we know Superman's going to do fairly well. But how well does it have to be, right? Because what I'm saying is I think they have a buffer. I think because they've had a lot of hits this year.
It is a small buffer.
That gives them a little bit of a buffer.
But it's building towards something else in the future. You're talking about this is setting up the future of the DCU.
Peacemaker, Supergirl, Lanterns.
Yeah, you got Supergirl.
No, I'm saying it has to do well, but how well, right?
Not only like monetarily, I think it has to do well reception wise.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. If it doesn't do well,
have to make money.
Audience reception is going to matter. So it has to
Alan,
do
you
well
don't think?
with the audience as well.
No, to Steph's point, it doesn't need to make a profit. It needs to do well at the box office.
Right. Like Sinners. It doesn't need to make all the money in the world, but people need to be talking about it.
It needs to be perceived that it is a success. It doesn't actually need to be a success financially. Like if it makes $750 million, will people be happy? Will Warner Brothers be happy with
that's my question, right? Like
if he fights a bunch of monsters and saves kids, like I think we've just had horrible marketing. If we get David Cornsweet saving kids, fighting monsters, and being Superman, and as James Gunn hopefully intends to have like good human part to that, it will make a bunch of money.
But I'm just saying that if it makes $750 million, if that feels to me like it just squeaked over the finish line.
Yeah,
because it really, I'm sure they would love to see $1 billion come out of Superman. Can it? That's the question.